Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and welcome to my DFS strategy video for the 2022 Honda Classic. Hopefully you're able to watch the preview video I put out yesterday because we went over everything required to find the optimal lineup. If you haven't seen it, I'll provide a link top right hand corner. Go watch that one, come back here because you're going to have a better idea of why I'm going to be selecting the players that I'm going to. And that's what this video is all about. Finding the players that will help us hit the optimal lineup. Because we kind of have a good idea of how to find it. Now we just need to hit it. So I'm going to be looking at the SweetSpot ranks. We'll look at some Marquee tea time pairings, look into our anchor buckets. Basically, you know, the players that live within those buckets, we want to be selecting more often than not. So we'll take a look there and then we'll build some lineups here at the end. But before we get into it, I'll remind you guys, there are some giveaways that I'm doing this week. The first one being a subscriber giveaway. It's worth $20 this week. Usually I have it $10 and you're gonna actually see it right there. It was on screen. Don't mind that little thing that goes across. I forgot to update it, but $20 this week I'm giving away if we reach 320 subscribers by Sunday night. So if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. And if you want an entry into this giveaway, all you gotta do is comment on all of the videos that I do this week. So I put out a preview one, a strategy, and a prize picks video. If you comment in all three of those videos, you'll get 3 free entries. And if you want a 4th additional one, share it on Twitter. Retweet any of the videos I post on Twitter, you'll get another one there. So you get up to 4 free entries. And if you want a topic to comment down below, let me know which 3 golfers you're going to anchor your lineups around. I usually ask for 2. If you don't want to, give that information away, I get it. You can just give me your 2 anchor plays, but I am curious. I want to know your 3. What are your true anchor plays this week? So that is how you can get an entry into this giveaway. Again, comment on all the videos I put out this week. You will get free entries. One unique one, or 1 per unique video. The second giveaway, it's called a prize picks giveaway. Simple. All you got to do is sign up using the promo code SweetSpot. I even have a link in the description and I'll get you to the sign up page with that promo code already populated. So if you sign up there, you put $20 in your account, I'm going to gift you back that $20. But you don't have to just put 20 in because Prize Picks is going to match your deposit up to $100. It's just if you want to play Prize Picks for free, I am giving you that avenue, because I'm going to give you $20 if you use the promo code SweetSpot when you sign up. Highly encourage it. It's taking off. A lot of people are getting into Prize Picks. So if you haven't yet, I highly encourage you guys to try it out, especially if you're in a state that allows it. There are some that don't allow it, which is unfortunate, but I think over time, we'll definitely have more states participating in allowing Prize Picks. So again, sign up with that code, put 20 bucks in, I will gift you $20 back. Let's get into this thing. So, you know what? Never mind. There's one more giveaway. I have an optimizer that I'm willing to give away, and all you got to do is basically follow the same things you have to do with the subscriber giveaway. Be subscribed, leave a comment down below, and then email me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Say you're interested in this optimizer, and I will send it to you. It's gonna. I'm going to be using it here at the end of the video, so you're going to have a good idea of how to use it. And if you're interested from what you see, just let me know. Okay, let's get into this. Let me zoom in. We are going to start with the SweetSpot ranks. So let me go ahead and sort this out. My number 1 golfer, Louis Oosthuizen. And actually, before I get into this, I didn't update the scoring model like I said I was going to. Last week was actually really good. We found 4 golfers inside the top 20 of my ranks in the optimal lineup. I think maybe it works as intended because we're no longer in a course rotation type of tournament, not in a pro-am. So I think we're going to find more success here, but I still want to update it and add more valuable stats to it. But what I'm looking at so far, official world golf ranking, the grass stats, it's all Bermuda. So we're looking at overall average. This dates back to 2013. Top 10 success rate. This also goes back to 2013. Just 1 full year's worth of Bermuda stats. That would be in this column. And then I'm looking at course history as well. Also looking at bogey avoidance, birdie or better. The 3 gray stats here, DK average, recent form average, and scoring average, are all based off the last 7 weeks. This is what I call my recent form stats. I have this weighted in half. I cut the score in half because I don't want this to influence the score by a large amount. You know, if you have a random guy that finished top 10 last week, their recent form stats are going to look really, really, really good. And they're going to be ranked, I think, unfairly. I mean, last week would be a good tournament, but think of this, if this was the Puerto Rico Open or something, we wouldn't want those golfers showing up. So I water it down a little bit. And then I'm also looking at season-long stats, DK average, scoring average, rounds under 70%, cut made percentage, and DK top 10 success rates. I'm trying to get most of my top guys as close to 100 points as possible. So that's why you see them like this. If you think the numbers look funny, that's why. Obviously, it includes into a score, which then provides a rank over here. So you can see the difference between 1 and 2 is pretty darn close. You know, Daniel Berger and Louis, they're pretty closely rated, as is Billy Horschel. So is Sung J M. I mean, all of these top 4 guys are within 12 points. So keep that in mind when looking at these ranks. But anyways, top guy Louis, then Berger, then Horschel. So I have Horschel above Sung J M and Joaquin Niemann, who are priced above him on DraftKings. That's our first value guy that we see. Second one's going to be Patrick Reed. I don't necessarily agree with this. What I will do when I build my lineups, so my lineups are based off this score. The score that's over here, and I shouldn't say lineup, my optimizer. So if you want this and you end up getting it, you can modify the stats you see over here. And what I'm going to do is I'll probably find Patrick Reed right here, and I'll deduct 100 points from the score. So instead of 1092, I'll make it 929 or 1029 is what I meant to say. I'll deduct 100 points. So then that'll rank them differently. And I'm not going to re-rank them here, but I just want to let you know, I do change that based off of my eye test, basically. And we'll talk more about that when we build lineups. But anyways, Patrick Reed, number 6 in my model. I don't really like it, but here we are. And then going from there, we have a bunch of 7K golfers, just so you guys can visually think of this. 8,300 is the last salary you see on screen. You know, if we're going by DK salary ranks. So when I do sort it out by my rankings, anything above or anything below $8,300 that shows up here, to me, would be a value play and a definite 7K golfer that I would find, you know, usable or, you know, at the very least, valuable to use. So you can see all of those golfers here. Some of the guys that might be overpriced for me would be Tommy Fleetwood, Matthew Wolff. Those are no surprises to me. Those guys haven't really been playing well all that much. Cameron Young, I think, might be, you know, his pricing is probably more to do with how well he did last week. He's still a good golfer, don't get me wrong. I think he's a tremendous talent, but at 8,600, maybe a bit too high of a price bump. I might eat my words later, but I think maybe a little too high. Anyways, this would be your top 20. Stuart Sink. Mito Pereira is just outside of that, so maybe Mito was a little mispriced as well. I do like Mito this week. He passes my eye test, so I'll probably add points to him when I go to the optimizer. But yeah, here are the ranks. And then what I like to do, go from the ranks, is go right into the Marquee Tee Time pairings. How a pairing, you know, these golfers are in pairs of 3. How I do Marquee Tee Time pairings is I first find a threshold that I take the total amount of golfers in the field, which is 144. I multiply that by 59%. It's a great golf number, 59, could be 60. It's just an arbitrary number. That number then gets us to a score, a threshold that I call 8. Well, I call it a threshold, but it ends up being 85. That's what the value is. So to be in the Marquee Tee Time pairing, the 3 collective scores of their rankings, each golfer in a pairing, has to be under that 85 mark. So this very first group equals 199, taking their ranks, adding them up, 199 is not under that threshold. But to show you the golfers that are, it'd be these guys here with the black font. This light green font are honorable mentions, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But you can see here, Billy Horschel, Patrick Reed, and Cameron Young, they're in group 12, or game 12 as I call it. Their collective score is 28. So it's by far, it's far underneath that 85 score. Now, with all of this, why do I look at marquee tee time pairings? Well, first of all, I think quality golfers will promote quality golf. And when you get a good group of golfers together, people can feed off each other. They can draft off each other. So it's not just, beholden to the guys on the screen right now. I do think these are the best golfers that are paired together, but any group that's paired together has that opportunity to feed off each other and play better if the group is playing better. Same thing applies when someone's playing bad. The whole group can kind of sink a little bit. So keep all of that in mind. Playing together, there's definitely an energy that people can feed off of. Some people just don't care. I always say Hideki Matsuyama is always on his own island because it wouldn't matter who he's paired up with. He's just playing by himself out there. He's got his own little bubble. Nothing's going to affect him. The conversations aren't going to be that helpful for him. I don't know. I always joke that Hideki's on his own island. But anyways, for most of the time, these golfers, I think, you pair them together and it does promote a little bit of a benefit. Now, for some new viewers, this has a pretty high success rate of finding at least 2 golfers in the optimal lineup. So that's why I've continued to do it. Had it failed a while ago, I've been doing this over a year and a half, kind of going through these marquee tee time pairings. If it were to fail at any point or just continue to fail, I would scrap it. But I typically see at least 2 golfers within these pairings finish in the optimal lineup. So that's kind of my goal. That's kind of what I'm thinking about when I make these marquee tee time pairings is find 2 of these golfers, at least 2. You can go up to 4. I've seen up to 4 be in the optimal lineup. I've also seen 0 one time. I've seen 1 from a group like this. I think it's been 3 times now. I think it's either 2 or 3 times. But the majority of them are 2 or 3. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it too. So a rule of mine is don't pick 2 golfers from the same group. It's only happened once where 2 golfers in the same group were in the optimal lineup. So I'm going to play my odds, my chances, just play the stats. It doesn't happen often, so I'm not going to do it. So basically what it would look like is if you chose Billy Horschel, you wouldn't choose Patrick Reed or Cameron Young. So just that's how I think of it. And honestly, Patrick Reed, I'm probably going to try to stay away from. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. And Cameron Young, I think is, he's priced up too much for me to really feel comfortable. It's not that I'm not going to play him. I just don't think I'll play him that much. But I do like Neiman. I like Brooks. I like Horschel. I don't mind playing like Hughes or Vegas or even McCarthy. Really like Taylor Pendrith. The fact that he's in this group is really lucky. I mean, let's see, that group score equals 77. So 8 points underneath that threshold. Kind of also shows you what kind of field this is. Not very strong, but either way, do like Pendrith, really like Oosthuizen. I like Sungjae. If you were watching the preview video, or if you came here from the preview video, I had made some declarations like you either play Sungjae or you play Tommy Fleetwood. And I believe Louis Oosthuizen was also no. Neiman was in a group. I'm sorry. It was not Louis. Neiman was in a group with 3 other golfers that you had to choose one of them. Like if you're going to go, I forget what it is. I'm sorry. I'm going to back up. But yeah, it's Sungjae or Fleetwood. So if you do like Sungjae, not that you're going to, because it'd be really expensive to roster both these guys together. But if you are playing Sungjae, don't pair him up with Louis. And I highly suggest you not to pair him up with Lucas Herbert. And then going from there, we got Daniel Berger, Matt Jones, Gary Woodland. I like all 3 of these guys as well. I really only like Keith Mitchell out of this group. This group to me just feels like it has bad juju, honestly. I mean, if Matt Wolf, I'll say this, I think Matt Wolf probably brings this group down. If he's not playing well, I think he just sucks the energy out of the entire group. If he is playing well, I think the other two can probably boost from it. But I think maybe this is the group I probably dislike the most out of all of these groups. And that includes looking at a Patrick Reed, Billy Horschel group, which, I mean, I don't really have anything against either of them, but still, yeah, this would be by far the worst group for me. I would take the Vegas McCarthy Penrith group over this group and their higher price. So anyways, those are your marquee tea time pairings. Again, I suggest picking two and not from the same group. That's kind of how I go. And then fade the rest of them. Don't put them in your player pool. If you're really trying to narrow down your player pool. Your notable or your honorable mentions, I don't really have to talk too much about them. You got Glover, Thompson, Todd, Sink, Lowry, Johnson. These guys don't follow the rules of the marquee tea time pairings. It's just whatever. However you want to go with that, you can do whatever you want. It's just I put them there because their scores are really close to that threshold number of 80, 85. But there's no real reason you have to play them. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into these anchor buckets. Now, the anchor buckets, basically, it's anything greater than 1 for the minimum, basically. Greater or equal to, I'm going to go 0.9, though. And that'll really narrow down these buckets of golfers we should choose from. And usually what I would do is take out all the zeros from the minimums from the top 10s that we see typically. But you can see them on the screen. I'm not going to really talk about them. I'm not going to talk a lot about these golfers, so I'm going to put them on the screen, write them down, the guys that you like the most. I might say, oh, wow, this guy shows up a bunch of times. Probably a better play to choose from. But the number one bucket we're going to talk about are last year 5s. And if you're wondering why a last year 5 would be a top bucket, I would suggest watching that preview video because I did update how I'm numbering the buckets now. It's no longer going by a ranking of which bucket is better. So a bucket 1 doesn't necessarily mean it's the best bucket anymore. This is just going from basically top to bottom for all the buckets that I have. But anyways, go watch the preview video. I don't want to spend too much time. Let's sort by salary in the last year bucket 5. So how I'm reading this is we want somewhere between 1 to 2, but I always like to keep 2 points separated between the min and the max. And I would say, you know what? I don't feel like talking about this bucket now that I think of it. I think this needs to be greater than 2 no matter what. I think there needs to be a 2-point gap between a minimum and a maximum projection, only because I've done this for a while and I know that having such a narrow number it's not very good. I mean, it would be good if it all hit all the time, but I think that's more of a 0 to 2 bucket. But if you were interested in picking at least one, you can see there aren't a lot of 7K golfers. There's only one 8K golfer. But you could pick up to 2. I would never go more than 2 of the golfers you see on the screen right now. So maybe that helps you out by narrowing down some of your players. The first bucket really to talk about are the did not plays from last year. So last year's 6s. Oh, by the way, if I hadn't mentioned this, I know I didn't mention this. There is a link in the description below that'll get you to a spreadsheet that includes the page you see currently. It has the dream sheet, as I call it, and the bucket system. Both of those sheets are available to you guys. A link in the description below. So last year's 6s. This is a bucket that's going to be pretty successful, I would imagine. We want somewhere between 2 to 5. Remember, we're always rounding down in the minimums. We're always rounding up in the maximums. I just show you the raw numbers so you can see for yourself what they look like. I'm a visual person. I like visual proof, so I like to give visual proof. 2 to 5 did not plays. Great way to start with either 3 of these guys, even Tommy Fleetwood, but Billy Horschel's there, Louis there. I really like Mito. Here's one thing to note. Even if this bucket produces 5 golfers inside the top 10, you may not want to grab 5 golfers, primarily because these 5 golfers right here, they could all finish inside the top 10, and you can't build a lineup with all 5 of these guys. You can barely build a lineup with 3 of them, but more likely you're probably going to want 2, at least 2. So that's kind of what I suggest. You know, pick at least 2 of them. But if you do like some of the golfers down here, you have the opportunity to select up to 5, remember? So again, showing you guys all the golfers on the screen. I'll scroll down now. I just suggest pausing the video so you can see the whole list if you want. A lot of golfers in this bucket. A lot of golfers. And a lot of good 6K, well, not so much good 6K golfers, but just notable 6K golfers to choose from. So hopefully that helps. Again, somewhere between 2 to 6. I believe that's all of the last year buckets to talk about. Now we go to last week's 6s, which we can already see some of them already. Louis is one of them. So we got Louis, Daniel Berger, Tommy Fleetwood. We've already talked about those guys. Same with Horschel. So really, I'm liking the chances of at least one of these guys being in the optimal lineup. So I think you got to make a choice between these 4 for sure. Outside of that, though, it's a crapshoot. You know, I really like Chris Kirk, but again, you can see all the golfers on the screen. Pause the video again so you guys can go through it, or follow along on that spreadsheet. You should be able to make a copy yourself, and then you can have it for yourselves that you can use filters. You can sort out like how I'm doing right now, or filter out, I should say. Yeah, that's all available for you. Again, link in the description. So some other notable names in here. A lot of 6K golfers once again. A lot of golfers other people were talking about in the industry. You have Satoshi Kodaira here. I think Smotherman was up here. I really like Nick Hardy this week. He's a Southern guy, or he played for Georgia. So I think that would be a decent play. Chase Seifert, top 5. I mean, I think he top 3'd. Yeah, he got 3rd place last year at this tournament. A bunch of golfers here. So if you want to take a shot at some of these 6K golfers, I probably wouldn't. It's certainly open for you. I didn't even tell you how many you needed from here. This one is projecting somewhere between 3 to 6. So you could legitimately have all 6 of your golfers from this bucket. And if you're kind of like hesitant, I'd say this. The last time I saw projections this high, there were 6 golfers from that bucket that finished inside the top 10. I think 4 of them were in the optimal lineup. And you actually see that here when it comes to the optimal lineup. The max you've ever seen in this bucket is 4. So it's definitely possible that it happens again. Next one is course history 3s. That's that 40 to 60 range. 40 to 60 is typically the number 1 bucket, like rated bucket and best bucket to choose from to try to find golfers inside the top 10. I mean, you can already see we have a lot of the same dudes here. Louis Oosthuizen, Daniel Berger, and Billy Horschel. So again, they all show up. Now, the more times you see them in the anchor buckets, it doesn't absolutely guarantee they're going to be inside the top 10, but it does improve their chances, obviously. So I'm really liking the 3 that we continue to see. You can see some of these other guys too. You know, Keith Mitchell we've already seen once. Brooks we've already seen. First time seeing Neiman, but either way, I'm going to scroll through these again. Pause the video. You know, if you see some of your golfers that you like, you know, make sure to write them down or maybe cross them out. If you see some golfers that you know what the rules are, again, I should say this, the rules here, we want somewhere between 3 to 6 golfers from this bucket as well, which is insane. But there are 56 golfers in that bucket this year. That's probably why. All right, that's the end of the list there. So then I think we just get right into our recent form buckets, and 2 3s and 4s. We want somewhere between 1 to 3 in all of these. So Let me go ahead and bring in the 2s first. Not a huge list. Again, we want somewhere between 1 to 3. But here you go. There's Sung Jae and Daniel Berger once again. Same with Keith Mitchell. Cam Young showed up there. Brian Harmon, I didn't even mention his name. He's shown up the most out of all of these. These are all the buckets that we were talking about. So maybe Brian Harmon sneaks into your lineups. And you can see the rest of them right here. Going to our 3s, 2, 3, 4, I believe, right? 2, 3, 4. A few more golfers in this bucket. Yeah, quite a bit more. But again, some notable names. You got Brooks, Mito, Patrick Reed once again. Don't really like that. Bezuidenhout, or Bezuidenhout. I think that's how you say his name. I was just looking at it right before coming on here. Bezuidenhout. Bezuidenhout. Easy, right? Taylor Moore is a choice. I really like Chris Kirk this week. So does everybody else, though. Although, you know, I don't care about ownership. Yeah. Then the last recent form bucket. Matt Wolf leads that one. Don't really care for that. Aaron Wise. I do like Aaron Wise this week. But you can see the rest of the guys up here. There's Taylor Pendrith we already talked about. Yeah. I like Gary Woodland quite a bit, so Gary Woodland will probably be in my lineups quite a few times. But either way, here are the golfers. Again, pause the video. I'm not going to read all of the names. This bucket's a little bit bigger. And that's the end of the list. Okay, so with all of this information, actually, let me go back. Remember, you wanted 1 to 3 from all those recent form buckets, but see here. We want one 10K golfer at least. 1 to 3 is my projection to show up inside the top 10. But I think you want one at least. 7K range is the only other salary bucket that you really want to be picking from, and we want 1 to 3 there as well. When it comes to strokes gained stats, finding positive off the tee plus positive putting with any stat in between, so approach or around the green as a negative stat. Want somewhere between 1 to 3 golfers there. Positive off the tee, negative putting, and any stat in between. You want 1 to 3 is there as well. And then strokes gained 4, negative off the tee plus positive putting, somewhere between 1 to 3. And just to keep, to put your mind at ease somewhat, if I go to 2021 and scroll over and we look at the strokes gained stats, the year-long strokes gained stats, you can see there's some negative approach guys in here. You can see there's a bunch of negative approach guys. Not by much. Some of these aren't by much, but you can see inside the top 10 here, there are quite a bit. You can see some negative around the green stats, and of course some negative off the tee stats. So that's kind of what this tournament's just going to lend itself. So that's why I like to use the buckets, just to show you guys all the differences that come with it. If I scroll over here, I guess what I can do is hide this stuff here. We can look at the year-long strokes gained stats from here. You're going to see some negative approach. Oh, just one, I guess, inside the top 10. So maybe going with positive approach might be the key. And if you do want to find a strokes gained 3 or a strokes gained 4, make sure they have a negative around the green stat. Maybe not so much with strokes gained 4, but with strokes gained 3, you would want to. And strokes gained 2. Yeah, strokes gained 2 is what I'm really talking about. So yeah. It's going to be a pretty good even mix, it looks like. 2019, do I have strokes gained stats there? I might. Yeah, so Ricky Fowler had negative approach stats that week. So did Wyndham Clark. There's some negative putting guys here. These would be your strokes gained 3 with Keith Mitchell and Brooks Koepka. These negative stats were strokes gained 4 golfers. Oh, I'm sorry, that wouldn't be correct. Wyndham Clark was a strokes gained 2 golfer with a negative approach. So was Ricky. Ricky actually had negative approach and negative around the green. Anyways, there you go. That's kind of what I'm getting at. You might want to select some guys with some negative approach stats. So anyways, let's go ahead. Let's start building some lineups. When it comes to this optimizer, I want to show you guys some new improvements I made. And again, if you want this optimizer, leave a comment down below. Give me your favorite 3 golfers you're anchoring your lineups around. If you don't want to divulge that much information, just give me your 2 favorite golfers. But some updates that I made. I created some new tabs down here. I have this new combinations tab. If I go and save the lineup that I have currently created, we're going to see some updates made. I don't know why this didn't update. Oh no. Oh, I know why. I know why. I forgot to add the the roster over there. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. So unprepared. I should have had this already updated. Transpose this. There we go. Make this all uniform. There we go. So now I have this new most common match, which will give you how many times a golfer has been paired up with another one. So from the golfer that I just saved, or the lineup I just saved, you can see all the matches, and it's going to give you the most expensive golfer that it's paired with, unless obviously that quantity is higher, and that comes from this combinations tab right here, right down here. So to me, I love this because personally, I always found myself looking at my lineups after using an optimizer and going, what? He was paired up how many times with one of the golfers? And that one golfer, like one of them I like. So let's say if I like Daniel Berger's right here. Let's say I like Daniel Berger, but he keeps getting paired up with Bezuidenhout. I don't think I truly would want that. I would want to limit it. So I wanted this optimizer to show me those things. So therefore I created something to allow me to see it. Now, if you don't want to see this, it's too much of an eyesore, I get it. We can go ahead and just hide these columns. They don't need to be seen. And you can keep track here. This column will tell you how many times he's been matched. I believe so. With, where he's the most common match with other golfers. So basically what it's doing is it's counting this column, how many times that name shows up, and then you'll see. In this one, it'll tell you how many times the golfer that's right here is matched with the golfer on the left. Just so you guys are aware of that. Now, another thing I added was I talk about marquee tee time pairings, and I always tell you don't pick more than 1 from a group. I never had anything built in here to allow that until now. I created 10 groups to add to this whole, just call this the conditional box. These are all conditions based off the buckets. You know, obviously we have our 6 buckets for each stat category, and I have my mins and my maxes set. Obviously, if you put a 1 or more in here, you're telling the optimizer to select at least one of these bucketed golfers. And obviously it looks at the information that's over here. And it will make sure it selects a golfer and then 5 other ones that are the most optimal lineup, choosing all the conditions that we have here. So now I do have that marquee tee time pairing logic set up. If you don't care for this, you can go in here and choose 6. 6 is your max, but you could also choose 3 because there's no more than 3 golfers in a group. Furthermore, what you can do is you can number these however you want. If you have a golfer that you don't want paired with another one, you could put them in the same group. Or what you could do is if you wanted like Sungjae and Louis to be in all of your lineups or something to that extent, what you could do instead of hitting the lock button here, or you had a core of 6 golfers, you could really just eliminate all of the numbers here and just put your core as 1s, you know, and come down here and say group 1, that is your core. You could change this to 6, and you can then change that to like 4. So it will try to select 4 golfers that are in your core out of, you know, how many you're going to actually have. And then the other 2 positions is just going to fill with whatever. So this is a really cool piece that I've added. I'm thinking just about adding, you know, like 30 groups that you can make updates to. Because we have 31 or 38 groups in the field this week. There are 38 individual pairings. Actually, no, there's 48 individual pairings, I believe. Let me double check. We do this, we sort. Yeah, there's 48 total groups. And so maybe I'll go up to 50. I'm not sure yet. It's not hard. It will slow the optimizer down somewhat, but this is how I want my lineups built, is not to pair guys up in the same group that I wouldn't normally want. And before, I didn't have the optimizer looking at that. I couldn't figure it out to save my life, but now I finally did. So I'm super, super excited for it. It's going to help me build lineups in the future. I spend a lot of time building lineups and always like reassessing how everything looks. It always took a really long time to do. So anyways, this is the new updated one. If you just want the old version of this, I can certainly send that to you. Just let me know. Say, hey, I want the old version. But I basically went through all of the updates to help you out. I'm also going to create an optimizer video that kind of just goes step by step on how to use it. And I will send that video out with the spreadsheet for whoever wants to use it. I don't know when I'll get that out yet, but if I get enough of you guys requesting that video, I'll probably create it tomorrow. So if you do want this optimizer, again, just let me know. So you can already see the first lineup that was built. This is the most optimal lineup using all the bucket conditions that I have. Daniel Berger, Billy Horschel, Christian Bezuidenhout, KH Lee, Chris Kirk, and Hayden Buckley. Now, Hayden Buckley is a 6K golfer. I'm guessing the top 5 guys here, the optimizer just liked quite a bit, and it chose a 6K golfer because I don't have any conditionals down here telling the optimizer to select a 6K. So with that being said, this is the most optimal lineup with all things considered. I'm going to go ahead and delete these and show you kind of my, you know, if I was to anchor a play around. We already know Sung Jae is one of those guys that we do want, we want to consider in our lineups. Same goes with Louis, same goes with Daniel Berger, and then Billy Horschel. Those 4 guys, I'm going to try to show you. I mean, you already saw a DB and Billy Horschel lineup. Perhaps this is the best lineup that you can build. Who knows? But when it comes to a Sung Jae lineup, I don't want the optimizer selecting anything in here. By the way, it does create unique lineups, but what it will do is it will put a no for the lock here, and that tells the optimizer not to select a golfer from this list. So if you want to manage this yourself, just go down to the golfer. You can see very easily Hayden Buckley. In this column here, this will be the low golfer if it's marked with a no. And then that gets copied over here. All you gotta do is just delete that and you'll be back in your pool that you can choose from. So anyways, Sung Jae. Top Sung Jae lineup. Let's see. It includes Billy Horschel, and it drops down to 3 7K golfers. We have KH Lee, Chris Kirk, Stuart Sink, and then Hayden Buckley shows up again. If we don't like Hayden Buckley, we don't have to hit the save lineup. We can go ahead and run optimizer again. Again, remember, it's going to remove him from the list. Now we have Sung Jae, Billy. We add Christian Bezuidenhout, Chris Kirk, and Lucas Glover now, which I think that's a really good lineup. That's your 10K above, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, which is your traditional salary build. Really, really like that lineup. But if you didn't like Libiota, we can go ahead and go to the next one, which just puts Wes Bryant in. How about this? If we don't want to see a 6K golfer, we just go down here, we put zeros here and say, okay, optimizer, what now? Your move, optimizer. And now we have more of kind of a balanced build, starting with Sung Jae. Goes down to Aaron Wise, which I absolutely love. Christian Bezuidenhout. Ian Poulter, Chris Kirk, Garrett Kigo. It's a pretty good lineup itself. So, really like those with Sung Jae. If we wanted to follow what we've been seeing, where we saw 2 10Ks. How about this? 2 10Ks, 2 7Ks, and I'm going to make it choose up to 2 6Ks. Remember in the preview video, we saw this optimizer build. I'm going to see what it will pick. Wow. M, Berger, Kirk, Sink, Rogers, Lee, Hodges. Now, again, why I brought this up is 2 of the years, 2018, 2019, the optimal lineup was a 10-10, 7-7, 6-6 build. So I just wanted to see what it would do. I'm sure Hayden Buckley would have been one of those guys the optimizer would have selected. But here's another version of that. Kirk shows up quite a bit. Obviously, the optimizer likes Kirk. I like Kirk. The model likes Kirk. Here's another version of that. Now, I don't really care for Ben Coles. So I want to see what it'll do if I update it. Satoshi Kodaira and Kevin Tway. So Scott Holdridge, there's your boy. Kevin Tway with Satoshi Kodaira. You're going to want this lineup. I can already tell. Your buddies with Mr. Brian Kirshner. There's your Satoshi guy. You're going to want that lineup. Anyways, moving on from there, I want to see what some of the other ones are going to be. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 2. Maybe these are both 2. I don't remember. I'm going to clear this though. I want everything to be clear like I was just talking about. And instead of Sung Jae, I want to see what the top Louis lineup is. I'm not going to go super far in depth with all the different combinations, but let's see what Louis provides. Horschel, Bezuidenhout, Ian Poulter, Glover, Buckley. Obviously, Buckley. Let's go past that. We're going to keep seeing some. Ooh, Rory Sabatini makes an appearance. That's super interesting. These are 3 7Ks to go with a 10, and 9, and 8. I like that. And then we got our Kirk, Glover, Libiota. So Glover is showing up a bunch. Glover's going to show up on everybody's model. A very good price. Rates really well in the models. So I'm going to go ahead. Take out Oosthuizen. Let's put in Daniel Berger. I'm sure it's going to show with one of the other 10Ks. I mean, which one was it before? It was Berger and Horschel. Yeah. So we already knew this one, but Kramer Hickok makes an appearance. We can run 2 more with this one just to see what it spits out. Vince Whaley, that's a good lineup. KH Lee. Now, if you're sick of seeing these guys show up a bunch of times, you can actually go in and change that out. So you can just put a no next to these names. You can put a no there. I can put a no next to KH Lee and force the optimizer to select something else. You do have to be careful though. You can make the optimizer error out by putting way too many conditionals in. So be careful on that. If you do, just reset whatever you had before. But here's a good lineup. Horschel, Hughes, Kirk, Swafford, and Stuart Sink. Not terrible. Let's go ahead. Let's look at, I think Billy Horschel might be the last one we want to look at. Yeah. Go with the Billy lineup. And we are telling it to pick 110K. So he's just going to be mixed with Berger all the time. Let's see if we can find some Horschel lineups without Berger. Actually, it includes Louis. That's cool. Louis, Horschel, McCarthy, Kirk, Glover, and Patrick Rogers. It's a good lineup. I like that lineup a lot. Vegas, Wesley Bryan gets added in there. I might have to take Glover out. Yeah, Glover is showing up way too many times. I would have an ownership, like a max exposure here, but I'm not saving anything. I just want to show you guys what some of these optimal lineups are. It changes down to Garrikigo. Stuart Sink shows up a bunch. Let's go ahead. Let's remove Stuart Sink. Luke Donald makes an appearance. Aaron Wise, Chris Kirk, Garrikigo, and Luke Donald. I like that. It's not a bad lineup at all. If we didn't want a 10K golfer, we can go ahead, exit out of this. Let's see. All things are equal and we get rid of everything. Will it select a 10K golfer as the most optimal lineup? And this will be the last one that I run. With all the conditionals, yes, it does. And I have taken that off so you guys can see. Berger Horschel, those are the two. And obviously Hayden Buckley keeps showing up. How about this? I don't want to see any 6K golfer. Let's see if they'll do a balance lineup. And it doesn't. It actually goes Berger Horschel, Hughes, Kirk, Swafford, Sink. So a lot of the names you've already been seeing or hearing about other people talking in the industry, on other podcasts, other, YouTube videos. Could be another community win when it comes to some of these guys. Glover obviously shows up a lot. Kirk shows up a lot. It's all going to be dependent on what you put your max exposures to. I'll tell you what, I don't really like to own a 7,500, or I don't like to own a 7K golfer over 20%. So I don't see myself owning Kirk more than 18% probably. And I'll set that, probably tonight or tomorrow. I'll update these. I'm most likely going to be sending you, if you do want this optimizer with my max exposures in there, go ahead and change them to whatever you want. Therefore, you can have your favorite players. And if you want to bypass the exposures by, or at all means, all you have to do is just lock them in. And just putting a yes here tells the optimizer he's in every lineup. Every lineup, as long as this is a Y. We don't care about ownership. We don't care about really any of the other conditionals. He's number one. We're definitely selecting him, and then the optimizer selects the other 5 based off the criteria you have in here. Now, if you don't care for some of this stuff, change all the maxes to 6, change all the mins to 0. I have these drop downs to make it easy for you guys. Yeah, that's what I would suggest doing. If you don't care about the bucket conditionals, go ahead and do that. You also have all these other tabs down here that I'll have to update. I haven't done yet. So you'll have the dream sheet down here. I did add them. Okay, cool. I just have to add the tournament information here. But you can get the dream sheet. You can also get the bucket system. This is all within the optimizer as well. And if you wanted to save your lineups and then randomize the order that they are, this allows you to, actually I need to update this as well. So it's a fun function. So if I go ahead, go to contests, I'll put the names here. Let's run an optimizer. I'll save like 2 lineups just so you guys can see how it works. Save that one. Run it again. I'll save it again. Yours is going to work faster than mine. For whatever reason, my computer just isn't happy with this. Okay. So your lineups get saved on this lineups page. From here, if you went to the contest page and you hit randomize, it's going to grab those 2 lineups. You can put your Excel spread or your Excel down or upload file from DraftKings, whatever that lineup. When you edit your lineups, you can add all of that here with your entry ID, contest name, contest ID, and entry fee. Every time I hit this, just pay attention to Rory and Garrikigo. It's going to change eventually. There, Sabatini's up top. So it randomizes it. So if you have 100 lineups, it's going to change it all up. And then you're going to see how much money you've invested. So if I went like $5 here and $5 there, you can see Neiman I put $10 into him. I put $5 into Bezadenhout, sorry. I did update this to show you if you spent over $20, it will turn green. So it'll let you know that you have put a lot of money into them. I'm a low stakes player, so I want to know how much money I've put into certain guys. And it'll keep track of everyone. So I really like this piece of it. Again, it'll show you the combinations, unhide the columns here. Get a lot of stuff, man. Lots of stuff. So let me know if you want this. If you just want the traditional one, let me know that one too, where it doesn't have the groups, doesn't have the combinations. It was just the old optimizer. I don't know why you'd want that when you can. This is basically that, just with added pieces. But anyways, teach their own. And that's going to be the strategy video today. I don't have anything else to add other than reminding you guys you can win 20 bucks. Oh, well, you can with the prize picks. This is the one I was going to go with, but sign up with prize picks. There's a link in the description. Use the promo code SweetSpot, put $20 in your account, and I'm going to give you 20. Outside of that, there's a subscriber giveaway. Once we reach 320 subscribers, we're at 309, so we just need 11 more. If we get those by Sunday night, I'll run this giveaway. If you want a free entry into it, got to be subscribed, and you got to comment down below. Give me your favorite 3 golfers you're anchoring your lineups around. Again, if you don't want to do that, you can give me your 2 favorite golfers you're anchoring your lineups around, and you'll get a free entry there. And if you want additional ones, go to the preview video, comment on that one. Go to the prize picks video I'm creating tomorrow, comment on that one, and you'll have 3 entries into this giveaway. And then also go on Twitter and retweet any of the videos that I am posting. You'll get an additional one that way. So you'll have 4. And if we do run this, at the end of or Sunday night, and say there's only 10 entries that also do 4, you have a really good chance to win. So why not, right? Anyways, that's all I have for you guys. So appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.